Welcome back to the channel, people. So I reckon I've been gone for almost 2 weeks, but there is a reason for it this time. And that is because I have come across the hardest person I've had to research on to criticize. A guy that has been on my eyes for some time now, and that is Armoured Skeptic.
I can't even complain that he mentioned white people, because now it looks like I'm complaining that the whole thing was about white people. See? I was the racist all along.
I initially thought that this would be an easy roast, but I was wrong for the following reasons. I went on a safari tour through his entire channel to find a topic that we disagree on, with the exception of religion. And don't worry, my friends, I will respond to Armoured Skeptic's videos on religion.
Tell my lord Salahdin, that Jerusalem has come.
Okay, I'm sorry, that was a cringy skit, but I just had to put it in there, I just had to. However, what I noticed when watching Armoured Skeptic's videos is that he is basically Steve Shives in an I am a smart atheist suit. All he does in his videos is go after low-hanging fruit while essentially making very little points and creaming it with his own opinions and satire. And when he does all that, he explains it very slowly to the point where it takes forever for him to get a single point. Apparently, that is skepticism to him. Examples of his failures are his ill-fated attempts to debunk destiny.
I don't know. It's all I'm saying is it's very, very complicated. See what I did there? I debated Chris's position. I used skepticism to counter his arguments. It's very, very complicated.
The entire video is basically just him blabbing about how he will use his intellectual superiority of skepticism in order to destroy destiny. It was so bad that he put the video on unlisted and pushed it aside. If you have the patience, I left a link in the description below. Another epic fail was when responding to Steven Crowder on climate change. He spends a third of the video just on his intro. Like, holy hell, is he really trying to join the ranks of nonces who just want to hit the 10-minute mark?
Skepticism.
So I didn't make the Skeptic Rant video the way I wanted to because the skeptic community has basically gone down the drain. Those YouTubers who claim to be the social media version of the 4 atheist horsemen have dissolved. The skeptic community has basically been discredited on the internet mainly for the same reason that Armoured Skeptic has fallen to. Basically putting their ego in the skeptic definition. However, some of the remnants still remain, and the star of this show is indeed one of them. Let's take a look at a video where he portrays another example of his failure.
It took me a long time to decide how I was going to address the whole Black Lives Matter kidnapping ordeal. I didn't want to start bandwagoning and then just make an entertaining video to get them clicks.
Actually, my knight in grey armor, you kind of do.
But I also didn't want to just pretend it didn't happen. I definitely want to get my 2 cents in. I finally decided what I want to do is talk to you about this out of character. Not as Armoured Skeptic, but as Greg. My hopes are that you won't see this as me making definitive statements, but more just having an open discussion with you.
Then can we please have a discussion instead of listening to you word your arguments to the point where they are becoming a national minority in your video?
My hopes are that you won't see this as me making definitive statements or just having an open discussion with you, explaining how I personally see things. And I want you to feel free to express how you believe I'm wrong or how you believe I'm right in the comments.
You see what I mean, people? He makes a 15-minute video talking about an easy topic. This is what most of his video actually is, but fasten your seatbelts because it's about to get really juicy.
There's all sorts of different kinds of skeptic. Liberal skeptic, conservative skeptic, feminist skeptic, anti-feminist skeptic, counterculture skeptic.
And this is the part where I fear to facepalm myself because I fear my hand would come out the back of my head. To this community, skepticism is just a buttress to their own egos and agendas. They have the words rationalism and skepticism to look like the media gods on the internet they pretend to be. Well, here's the thing. The philosophy of rationalism is the doctrine that reason alone is the source of knowledge, and it is independent of experience, of experimentation, and of your own human senses. You people are not rationalists. You are empiricists. That is because you rely on hypothesis, experimentation, and observation to gain knowledge. And Armoured Skeptics, along with his entire community, have proven that they do not know this because they wave skepticism around like a flag on a parade.
And the purest form of all, the objective centrist skeptic.
Holy crap, he just proves my point even more now.
Now, I like to imagine that the Armored Skeptic character is a centrist objective skeptic.
Okay, Greg, in case anyone didn't know, that's his real name. As a centrist myself, I'm telling you that you are embarrassing us everywhere.
Which means he doesn't have an agenda in mind. He's not arguing on behalf of any specific position. He simply listens to people's claims and expresses reasons why one can be skeptical of said claim.
But don't you realize that you are not doing that? Okay, what's the point anymore?
I can already hear you crying that I don't necessarily fit that role perfectly, and of course, I'm only human. I'm bound to fail at being completely objective. And I'm not here today to try to convince you that I'm the best skeptic there is, because I'm sure that I'm not.
And now he's going on an apology note. Hey Greg, I've actually forgotten that you've made a video on Black Lives Matter because you're of your babbling.
But I can see the writing on the wall, and what I'm seeing is what quite possibly could be the onset of an actual race war.
Finally, he said something related to the title, and as usual, it's obvious as F.
And there's no one side or one organization to blame. This is not just coming from the left, or just from the right. There's race baiting, narrative pushing, and spin doctoring happening on both sides of this issue.
Okay, I can't listen to this anymore because he is acting like what I said earlier, a Steve Shives in a suit. Yet, he isn't the only person to do so. Oh no. Armoured Skeptic is just the embodiment, sort of like an example of what the skeptic community is. He is basically the standard prime example. I also point my finger at Rationality Rules, Cosmic Skeptic, Thunderfoot, and Jacqueline Glenn. Being an atheist or an anti-SJW doesn't automatically make you an intellectual or an expert on critical thinking. It is a skill that you have to work on. And that's exactly what I plan to further expose on the other skeptics I've mentioned in the near future.